Hi, it's me again with CorelDraw tips and tricks. I just did a video yesterday about this cut box. And if you didn't watch it, it's pretty elaborate with springs to hold down the wood. For cutting small items, they're going to fall through your vector bed. And this way it catches it. And it really explains some safety factors in part one if you didn't watch it. But we're going to draw one and a couple of things you need to think about when you're drawing this. So we're going to take you can make it any size you want. I'm going to make this one 8 by 8 like I did the other one. Then I'm going to go to box it. And I'm going to go, I don't want, well, you know what? I'm going to make a lid, 1/8 inch wood, 1/2 inch tabs, 4-inch tall, 4 inches for safety. And I'm going to hit enter, and Box It has drawn this box that quick. Now, we do not need the bottom. We do not need the top. We just need the bottom and the 4 sides. So then you kind of determine, and Box It kind of puts them together for you, that this is one side, this is the other side. So I'm going to make this the front and the back, and these will be the sides. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit P and put this in the center of the page. And I'm going to take a rectangle, and you could do this in any style, any size. I like putting a little bit of curve to it, so I'm going to put like a 2-inch curve. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit P to put it in the center of the page. But then I'm going to select them both, and I'm going to hit L to put it over to the left. Now I'm going to set my nudge factor on 1/4 inch, and you'll see it. The tabs are 1/8 inch. So I want it about that far off, okay? I'm going to make a duplicate. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to hit R. And then I'm going to hit it. Whoop, I had them both selected. So now I'm going to select just my item. So those, I might have messed this up. Let me start that over because I jumped it. I'm going to go L and then go 1, 1, 2. Okay, that's the same distance. Then select these 2 items, and you don't have to have them this is just a cut box. It doesn't have to be pretty, but I'm going to go to Effects and Blend. I'm going to blend them just 3 times, and I've got that many cuts. You know what? In that size, maybe let's blend them 4, so you've got more ventilation. So this one and this one are the same, if you look. So we don't need this one. We're going to keep these 2, and we're going to make a duplicate of this, but first we're going to fix it. It'll be a little bit confusing because I've got so much stuff going on the page, but we're going to open up the Windows Dockers objects. And because I selected all these, there's my curve. But where is you also need to take this and go Arrange, break the blend apart, and grab them all, go to Arrange, and group them together. So there's my group of 3 objects. I want it to cut before the curve. So I'm going to take my group of 3 objects and move it down there because I want the inside cut first before the outside, because that way they won't fall. Now that I've got that done, I could hit the plus key on the keyboard, and I could do this right here. So now I've got my 4 parts. But we don't want the box to have tabs all the way around the top, but we want them, as you can see, mine doesn't have tabs, but we want them to kind of match up with the other little piece of plywood that I'm going to put here. So what I would suggest, and if you look, so these are the 2 pieces that are going to match together. Yep, see, I did a no-no. I'm just going to group these together. Normally I would smart fill them, but grouping is good enough. So this one is going to be let's just bring them both in. Well, let's delete this one because I've got them all grouped now. You don't have to get the calculator. Let's hit the plus key. So this is going to be your back one, okay? But you want the other three to be at this level. If you can see on my box up here, that this is at the same level as this. We don't want any tabs. And I could have probably avoided that by not putting a lid, but then I would have had to add tabs. So if we just think about it, I just need to take these tabs off. And the easiest way for me to think about it is just to take my 2-point line and go from there to there, smart fill it, and now I don't have any tabs. And then left click, right click. And really, I only have to do that once because now I can make a duplicate of this. So there's my two sides, there and there. Now I want the front, so this is going to be my back side. Hope that makes a little bit of sense. And I'm just going to take a 2-point line, and I'm just going to put a line from that node to that node. And then I'm going to take the Smart Fill tool and fill that in. And then there is our front. That way it's going to set, make sure you get rid of that line. So this one is going to set, and it's going to be, the plywood is going to set down in that crevice, your 1/8 inch plywood. So it's going to be flat all the way across. Hope that makes a little bit of sense. Now we need to make this little back portion. And this is one thing you really need to kind of think about. We want, probably the easiest way to do it, we want to mirror that joint. So I'm going to take a rectangle, staying inside those lines. You could be a little bit short, and then set your width, whatever. Let's make it I want to unlock my ratio, and I'm going to make it a 1-inch width. And then I'm going to take the 4-handle cross and put it right there. And now when I use the Smart Fill tool, there is my little ledge, or whatever you want to call it. So you won't have and then I would always just check it out and make sure you did it right. And you want that inside there. It could be a little short, doesn't really matter. So there's your part. I don't think anybody's going to use the springs. So there's basically your 4 parts or your 5 parts. Then you just need to make and the clamps would have worked, or the clamps would have worked for me, but I had springs and I thought I'm just going to play around with it. So now what you need to do is make this little clamp. We know we're working with 1/8 of an inch wood. And these clamps would actually work even the depth I made, because you could put the board to the back of this. So I'm just going to show you how to draw this like a little clamp. I'm going to make it, let's make it a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. That might not be big enough. If you remember, I locked my ratio, or unlocked my ratio. So we got a 1/2 inch. Probably going to make it a little bit longer. So let's go ahead and let's make it 1 inch long. So we got 1 inch by 1/4. I'm going to hit P and put it in the center of the page. A lot easier for me to think about it. Now I need a 1/4 inch box to make up the 2 thicknesses. The one thickness is going to be the little ledge, and the other piece is going to be the wood you're going to cut. So the easiest way for me to do that is just stretch it out and hit P, and there is our box with a 1/4 inch deal. Now we don't want to go all the way, so we're just going to put a line. Best way to do it is just start drawing a line, and then just delete the other parts of the line, because you don't want them there. And then cut right there and cut this out. Take your Smart Fill tool, fill that in, and there's your clamp. Now, I would test it, make sure it's a hairline. But if we look, so because some 1/8 inch plywood isn't going to be 1/8 of an inch. So if you Why am I just a 1/16 of an inch? So I did something wrong. Maybe when I changed my ratio, I didn't make it a 1/4 inch. So let's just change that real quick. Yeah. So I'll make it 0.25. There we go. Now I'm going to hit P. That looks a little bit better. And at this time, I might even make my box a little bit thicker to make my clamp a little stronger. Matter of fact, we could just take the box and just hold down the control button and move it like this. And look what I did. I made it backwards, but it's good. So take the Smart Fill tool and fill that in, and there's your clamp. I like working the other way, so I'm going to flip it. I don't know why. Delete all this. But if we look now, our thickness is a 1/4 of an inch. You want it pretty tight. If you can see, that's a 1/4 of an inch. Now, you want it tight. You want it to hold. So my suggestion is to take your shape tool, set your nudge factor on like 0.01, and you would test that. Because if your plywood is just a hair under 1/8, when you double it up, you've got 2 hairs under 1/8 or under 1/4. So take that node and just click one time down. Click one time down. Now you're tighter. Now this one, I would click twice down. Grab that one, clamp 2. So now you've kind of got a pie-shaped clamp to, let me just show you in case you, let's make a 1/8 inch piece of wood, 0.125, and let's make it blue, and let's make here's a good trick. Let's change our nudge factor to 0.125. Now let's make a duplicate of that and move it down. And let's make that one red. So there's your 2 sheets of plywood. Control G to group them. And if we look and try to bring them into this clamp, and you're going to get some kerf, so that might be too tight. But this is a 1/4 of an inch exactly. But you see what I mean? It's going to get tighter and tighter as it clamps. So just play around that. If you ask for my file, which you'll get all this, and I'll put my email again at the bottom one. Just disregard this. These 2 pieces are just overkill. I glued them in there. So if you glue them like on the top to get this board at a parallel, glue that one first, let it dry, and then squeeze it in to get the other one. It'll be square. So basically it's a 1 inch square for squaring up. Anyway, I hope that helped a little bit. Thank you for watching.